What's up, everybody? One Fun Guy podcast in the studio. One half of the pod cult. I am going to get my buddy Kelly on. We're going to do a show tonight. We're going to talk about record store days. I just want to let everybody know that I had my show with Athena. Follow her. I've tagged all her stuff in my videos. Same with Roberta the Tool Lady. All her stuff is linked in my bio. I'm going to be live this Sunday with Danny. I have New Japan Pro Wrestling tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. And then Saturday is going to be Record Store Days with my buddy Chris, and I'm going to invite Kelly to go here. So we're just kind of hanging out tonight, guys. I'm going to try to share this to as many people as I can. I don't know who's on. We're going to go from there. We will see who else is on. I'm going to try to get Kelly on. He doesn't appear to be on yet. I know I'm a little bit early. I always do. I'm going to send him an invite just in case we're here. If you like the show, guys, just click the screen. We're not going to beg you. We don't make you buy gifts to hang out with us. Ellie, what's up? We don't have any requirements for you to be here. There's nothing like that. All we ask you guys is that if you like us, share us, support us, comment, make sure that everything in the live section keeps going, and we have everything set up from there. And then we'll have a pretty good show tonight. We're not going to stay on super long. Like I said, I have New Japan tomorrow. I know I have a podcast coming up on Sunday with Danny, so that'll be pretty fun. I'm just going to share this to everybody who's on here real quick. I don't know how many people I can send this to at once. 15. Brandy, what's up? So if you guys are new here, say hi. If you haven't been part of our show before, please say hi, introduce yourselves. We're interactive here. We try to do as much stuff fun as we can. Jamie, what's up? Sorry about last night, Jamie. I got stuck doing some stuff. So the next time you're on, though, I promise I will get on. We'll set up another date for the podcast. Not a big deal. We'll you didn't go live either, so good. So I don't feel as bad. I know I said I was gonna get on with you. I just some stuff happened. So anyways, we'll set up a date for our podcast. You could text me or just send me a message. We'll definitely pick a day that works for you and that will work for us. Together. I do have a couple people lined up. There are a few bands that I'm working on. I do have a bunch of stuff that's coming up in the meantime. So with that being said, we'll go from there and we'll see what we can have conference. So you're tapped. So like I said, I'm doing this tonight, guys, with Kelly. As soon as he's on, we're going to do that. It's going to be a quick show tonight, guys. I am off of work tomorrow. I have New Japan Pro Wrestling tomorrow night, but I'm going to have to leave at like 1 o'clock for the show. So it'll be, Jay, what's up? It'll be New Japan tomorrow, Record Store Day on Saturday, which is going to be super early. Me and my buddy Chris are going to that. Courtney, what's up? So we're kind of just hanging out, guys. If you're, like I said, if you're new to us, just like our show if you can. What's going on? Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can do this. TikTok's being weird. I don't know why I can't reply. I'm trying to anyways. Jamie, thank you. Like I said, guys, we appreciate all the gifts. We always do. It's not required to hang out with us, guys. All we ask is that you be supportive in there and you go in. Courtney, I appreciate that. I know what you mean. Things get busy. Things get out of control. Life happens. I get that. Things come up and stuff like that. So with that being said, we can go from there and... Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, guys. All the love and support. We can achieve our goals and stuff like that. Queen, what's up? Ash, what's going on? So anyways, guys, like I said, I just put a little goal thing in for tonight. Nothing too big. I was just texting Kelly to tell him to come on when we're ready to go. Like I said, it's just going to be a quick, easy, fun live tonight. We're going to talk about... hold on one second. Let me get him another message here. Sorry, guys. Just sending him another message. So with that being said, guys, I'm trying to get Kelly on. I don't know where he's at. I just sent him a message. He's obviously one half of the show tonight, so he's a pretty important piece. So I'm not ignoring anybody. I apologize if you think I am. I'm not. I'm just trying to get him on so we can get the party started, as they say. But thank you guys all for being here. Queens, what's happening? Thank you for being a part of the live, guys. It means a lot to us. When Kelly hops on, obviously, we're here together. Ellie, thank you so much for the gifts. That's super cool. We'll go from there. So sorry, guys. Kelly's here, so I'm gonna invite him in. Let me see if I could do this real quick. Where's Kelly at? Here we go. Invite. All right, so the invite sent. So Kelly should hop on any second here. So what's up, buddy?
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was just sending a text out. My cousins all want to come in July for a reunion, and I have
Nice.
a handful of family that live in Illinois. I have two cousins that live in California. I have one cousin that lives in Denver. I have one cousin that lives in Florida. Well, actually, I have a ton of cousins that live in Florida, but my cousin Gary just moved down there, and then my mom's whole side of the family is there, and we're all on this text chain. So my phone has been blasting up because they all want to go to see the Cubs game. My cousin L wants to buy tickets, but they're playing Boston, which is like the hottest ticket at Wrigley now, and it's July 18th. So that it was July 18th, 19th, and 20th. And the 19th of July, I'm going to see Pantera. So I was like, it's the worst weekend that you guys possibly could have picked because I work on Friday. I have the concert on Saturday, and then on Sunday is my only really free day. So I'm just trying to squeeze everything in and try to make it work. And my phone's been blasting the last couple minutes of text chains of everybody messaging in. So I'm just trying to figure it out while we're doing this. But anyways, I put the phone down. So we got a fun show tonight. I wanted to talk about the record store day on Saturday, right? So it's the first time that I'm going to partake in one of these. Obviously, I've known they've been around for years now, but I just started collecting vinyl, so I never had been to one. I've never needed to go because I never had a vinyl collection, and now I do. So at this stage of the game, I don't really know what to do or what to say. So I think at this point, I'm going to let you take over because obviously you know what to do. My buddy Chris wants to go to a record store in Wheaton, so you're more than welcome to come with us if you want to do it together. Ellie, you're going to go record shopping at your shop. So why don't we do this? If you're in your shop in Wisconsin and me and Kelly and Chris are here in Illinois, we'll link up together and we'll try to FaceTime each other or call each other to see what maybe they have more unique stuff by you or if we get more stuff by here. So I know for me, the one album that I really want on Record Store Day is the Rage Against the Machine live in 93. That's kind of the one that I'm hunting for. So I hope I could get that. I know the Ramones, it has local live they're reissuing. Deicide has Once Upon the Cross. Skin Lab has their like one and only album. I think they did two, but they were like 15 years apart. So it's the original Skin Lab album. So there's a couple stuff I want. Obviously, I'm not going to spend, $150 on records, but if I can get one or two, I think I'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I usually for these, it's like you said, it's record store day, and there's special editions, something that's special with them, and they charge a little bit extra for it too. So I wouldn't expect sort of bargain record store day records so much,
Yeah,
but
no,
rather
I think
special
that
editions, right?
I'm pretty sure that I think if I buy two albums, they're going to be at $40. I'm pretty sure they're going to be 39.99. They might be 34 or 31.99, but I'm assuming they're going to be on the higher end. So I'm willing to pay $80. I have it set aside for two albums. If I can get three out of it, maybe I will. But like, I don't want to obviously spend that kind of money to buy three or four albums at full asking price. If they're anything more than $40, I really have to. I'll only buy one then. So
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, and I
yeah,
mean, but usually also, like the record stores want to promote their stuff too, so it's not
sure,
just the record store edition type things, but they pull out the bins from the back and all that stuff. I think
yeah.
usually for that sort of thing. It's um, I've only
So
been actually out to a couple of them. I feel a little bit like Dean Martin saying that I drink every day of the year except for New Year's Day. Or New Year's Eve. That's for the amateurs.
yeah.
You know, sounds elitist. Not really, but yeah, no. I mean, every day could be record store day
Sure.
in a sense. But so I actually haven't been to more than a couple, and both of them were in Canada when I lived there.
Okay.
But it was fun, and they also had free records that they just handed out, like here's
Sure.
free record store day thing. So
Okay.
I think it was a Rolling Stones or something that I got. You just
Yeah.
got to because you were there early enough, and they just handed them out for free.
So I
So
actually picked this up last Saturday. When I went into the city, um, I stopped at a couple record stores, and this was from Record Store Day of 2021, but it was the No More Tears Ozzy album.
Ozzy, okay,
So this one, if you can see, is from Record Store Day of 2021. So it was a limited edition one, and it just happened to be on sale, and it's one of my favorite albums, so I ended up buying it. And I believe it was the first album with Zach Wild as Ozzy's guitarist. So
nice.
so that was kind of like my find of the day. I think that was like $18 or $17 or something like that. So I just was like, anything less than 20, I'm in. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that there'll be some good finds too, just
yeah,
because it's one time when record stores can also get people interested in coming back
sure,
later, right? I only have one record store day edition of an album, and
okay,
that was actually the last time I went to Sweden for a visit. I bought the Entombed to Ride.
okay,
Shoot straight and speak the truth about that record store edition thing because you know, I actually didn't have it on vinyl, and I was at my old record store, the one store that I used to go to all the time, and being in Sweden, buying a Swedish album, it just seemed appropriate. But yeah, I think it was like a gatefold thing, and like a blood splatter vinyl pressing, and so on. So it wasn't any extra tunes or anything like that. It was just sort of a little bit another addition
yeah.
to add to the collection. But yeah, I'll go Wheaton. I'm not sure where that is though. I'm still getting
So
familiar
there's
with that.
so it's if you basically take Roosevelt all the way down, um, and you just start heading west, you run right into it. So Roosevelt and like um Main Street there's like a Mariano's on the corner, and if you turn right, that gets you into downtown Wheaton. My buddy Chris lives in Glen Ellen, so he wants to meet in Wheaton. So I was like, that's kind of like for me, it's all right. So I guess what the record store does is he's done this before there. He did it last year and the year before. He says what they do is they basically give you a ticket. You go Friday night and you stand in line. They don't make you get there early in the morning at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning because they do open at 7. He says they give you a ticket, and when you get the ticket, when the door opens, it's a random number, and they're probably like, let's say 1 through 100 or 1 through 200. So if you get number 1, you're the first person in the door. You could be the last person in line and get number 2. So it's just kind of random, but they do it so it's fair, and then that way they don't let 100 people into the store at once. They call a few numbers, they let you take your time, and then you go through it. So he's going to go tomorrow night and get tickets for us. I told him I can't go because I have New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I'm going to see wrestling. So I'm like, dude, I don't know what time I'm going to get out. I was like, but if you're still there at midnight, I said the show should end at like 10:30. I said I'll meet you there to get the tickets afterwards. I just can't get in line with you at 6 a.m. So that's kind of where we were at with that. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to text Chris tomorrow and find out. But you're more than welcome to join us on Saturday. I know he's got the live pause, so I don't know if he could hear me. But yeah, so
Yeah, I could hear you. I was just looking up the map, see how far away it is. So because it sounds like it could be an early morning too, but I don't have any plans on Friday, so I could. And I'm usually an early riser, so
no, perfect.
yeah, no, that sounds like it would be fun. Again, I'm a little bit cash strapped, so I also wouldn't need to be on a pretty heavy budget here, but
I have to be cognizant of that as well, right? Like I don't have kind of money to just spend at will. So and I don't want to go into debt buying records. So like, I understand that too.
Right.
So obviously when I go record shopping, I obviously bargain hunt, and I bargain hunt on eBay as well. Right. So when I go to eBay, I try to buy something that's less than $10. Or if it's $14.99, but you send us an offer, I usually shoot for like $10. And if it's $1 to $3 of shipping, it's usually less than $15 for a record. So I usually try to do that like once a week, but I'm not buying 30 albums in a week. I buy one a week, and it just so happens that I found some really good deals. And then, a lot of times too, they'll be like, if you buy one, you get one for half off, or it's 2 for $20. So on eBay, I'll just buy 2 for $20, and it comes to like $22, and that'll be the 2 albums I buy for the week. And then the next week, it's kind of the same thing. So I'm not spending hundreds of dollars at one, pop on albums, but $10 to $15 a week. I've over the course of the past 14 weeks, I've gotten a lot of, albums. So it's
nice.
So yeah, but again, I'm getting to the point now where like I'm happy with what I have. So I really just want to find like really rare stuff or things that I could listen to. I just don't want to buy an album like you said. When CDs were $1, you took your chance on it, right? Because even if you liked one song out of them, but when they're $14 or $15.99, that's a lot to take a chance on. So like, unless it's something that I specifically want or I would like to have in my collection, that's kind of how I buy them now. So like, I bought the Ozzy one. Obviously, No More Tears is one of my favorite albums. It's been that way. I got a couple of the Alice in Chains, Nightwish, and some other stuff. I've bought, but I've been comfortable with what I'm buying. I haven't been going like in debt to buy records. So like, obviously I've been lucky that I've found the one that I found. I have a decent collection, but like, I think at this point now I'm pretty much like, I'm happy with what I have. If I see something somewhere, I'll get it, but I'm not going out specifically looking for anything right now. I think I have everything I want.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beauties of going to record stores often too, is that you get in that mode where it's like, I'm not really going here to shop. I'm going here to find something.
Right.
If I find something that's extraordinary, yes, I'll buy it. But I don't go in there with now I'm going to buy 3 albums and so to have something to listen to this weekend. Like that stops happening after a while, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, when I used to go to the local record store like almost every day of the week, and usually after school type of thing, right? Then it wasn't to buy. I mean, obviously, teenager going to school doesn't have any money to buy all the time, right? So, but it's fun to just flip through and see what's out there and get familiar with things and so on. What you're doing with eBay, I've done a little bit with Discogs, if you've heard of that. But that's another one of those where it's a marketplace, it's worldwide type of thing.
So I mean, obviously I've been on Facebook Marketplace, right? Like that's how I found the one guy out in Mendota. He had the Guns N' Roses album for $20, and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in buying that one. Obviously it was a live album, and I didn't know how it was going to sound, and obviously when I got there, the guy has just this enormous warehouse of albums. It's literally, he had thousands of vinyl. And so I went there one day and, Goldie, what's up? So, I just kind of was there and just stayed in the kind of mode I found. And then I just kind of realized that, like, all right, I don't want to spend a lot of money with this guy, but at the same time, he was like, the more albums you buy, the more discount I give you. So I had about $80. I was like, that's kind of be my limit, because I did want to buy the three Guns N' Roses albums that were $20 a piece, right? So I think I ended up buying 6 albums that day, but he gave me the Funkadelic one for free. He gave me the Chuck Berry one for free. He gave me the Guns N' Roses ones all for 20. He gave me the Godflesh one for 7. He took half off of it. So I think I got 6 albums for $90. So I was pretty happy with that.
I would
So
be happy for that too. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing when you find those places. And, people that are desperate to sell, for one, or if they don't quite know what they've got sometimes, would just
yeah,
get it more and more rare.
right.
Um,
Well, welcome in, Goldie. I appreciate that.
awesome.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think so here's what I think what we've what I think we should do then is I'll talk to my buddy Chris tomorrow and find out what's going on, and then we'll plan Saturday after the wrestling show. I have no problem hanging out with them if we get done early. I think the wrestling show should end by like 10 o'clock. By the time I get out of the parking lot and get into the area, I might meet him because he's going to stand. I think he's going to get there at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. There's a Starbucks right there. And he said last year he bought a lawn chair. It wasn't that cold. He said it was about 55 or 60 degrees. He bundled up. He got some Starbucks. He hung out. I think at 11 o'clock or 11:30, they start handing out the tickets. And then you basically go home and sleep. And then you come back Saturday morning. And then Saturday morning, there's a giant line of people that are there. But you get they give you the ticket. So he said last year, I think he said he was like the 30th person in line, give or take, and he got ticket number 10. So he was one of the first 10 people allowed in the store, 15 people. He was in the first group. And then they don't really give you a time limit, but you kind of know what you want already. You go in and you buy it and you're kind of out, and then they let the next group in. So that was basically what he was doing. So I think that's what the game plan is for tomorrow of what they're going to do. And then, so Ellie, yours opens at 10. So if you get there and we're already done, we'll be on with you and we'll see what you have. If you find something cool that one of us wanted that we didn't find here and you can buy it there, just buy it and we'll Zelle you or Venmo you the money. And then that way we'll make sure that we get it. You can ship it to me or you can send it to whoever. That way we can kind of coordinate and plan it that way. So
Cool. So you said your wrestling thing will be done 10-ish, and then you probably have a
yeah.
half hour.
So I think I'm off of work tomorrow, and I'm meeting my buddy Mike. We're leaving the area at like 2 o'clock because it's at the Wintrust downtown. So we want to get there by like 3:30 or 4 to try and park in their lot, so we don't have to park across the street because it's insanely expensive if you don't get in to their lot. So we're just going to probably go somewhere for coffee. We'll walk somewhere and hang out. I believe the doors open at 5:30 or 6. The show starts at 7. It should end by 10. And then by the time we get back into our cars and get out of that area, it should be probably about 11 or 11:30 by the time I'm actually back into the area. So if I'm earlier before 11:30, then I'll just meet Chris and Wheaton and I'll get us our tickets. And if for whatever reason I get stuck, he said he would get us them, and then we'll just meet him in the morning. We can just all go in together.
Okay. Sounds
So
cool.
we'll plan it that way. I'll call him tonight and definitely iron out all the details and go from there. So they don't have a parking ramp. Are you talking about Wintrust having a parking ramp, or are you talking about the record store having a parking ramp? Because Wintrust does not. Wintrust is it's a small little lot. So when you think of stadiums, you think of the United Center, right? The big lot across the street. You know, Rosemont has the big lot that's around it. Wintrust literally has, it's like, you're lucky if you could park 50 cars in the lot. Once that lot fills up, you have to go to the paid lots that are across the street. Now, it's not that big of a deal, but the Wintrust lot is free. The paid lots are like $40. So if you get there, you got to pay. So it's like, it's worth our time to get there early and get a free spot and pay $10 for a cup of coffee than it is to get there later and then pay $40 for parking. So it's just kind of, we feel like we learned our lesson the last time we went and we had to pay $34, I think, with taxes and fees to park. So we're going to try and get that there. So
Yeah, that was the same going to Aragon. It was there was only like expensive pay lots, or you'd have to walk a
Right.
fair distance. You know.
So and that's kind of the way it is. So we're gonna try to get down there a little bit early to beat all that, and then as soon as I'm done, I'll head over to Wheaton to meet my buddy Chris. It's not that far, and at that stage of the game at night, it should take me about 35 minutes to get to Wheaton from downtown. So
Okay.
so
Cool.
I'll definitely do that and go from there. But I happened to see the list of the record store. They put the PDF out yesterday. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw a list earlier a week or two ago. I think that I saw a list, and it was like nothing that sort of was something that I super duper wanted or whatever, right? But it's a thing that I haven't done in a while, so I definitely would like to go. So I say let's go for it. I'll go to Wheaton. If I don't have to go there in the evening to get the ticket, that would be great.
Yeah.
If you can help me out with that and we can work something out, then
Yeah.
that'd
So
be
this
awesome.
was what came out. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of, but
Okay.
it's the list of everything that's dropping for this record store day. So there were a couple of things on it that caught my eye. Obviously, the Rage Against the Machine is the first one. It's live from '93. They have a Doors one it's called Live in '67. They have the Ramones local live, which I'm kind of interested in. The Skin Lab, the Diaz side. There's a few other ones in between. There's a couple singles out there, but the Rage is obviously the number one. If I can get that, I'd be happy. If anything else, if I find as a bonus, awesome. But if I can get the Rage, that would pretty much solidify my day.
Very cool. Rage in '93. I think it was '94 when I saw them live. But I don't think that was recorded, but
Yeah.
but it was good shit. Yeah. No, I mean, I'll look up the list, and head out there. It'll be fun to go through. Also, there's something to be said also about just flipping through, like, the moment when you see, oh, this one, like, there's something about that. Of course, you can be excited about something in advance, so it's like, this is what I need to hunt down, or just run straight to the clerk and say, do you have any left of this one, before the person behind you snags the last copy. So I can see that, but
Yeah.
but
And so that's kind of like where Ellie steps in, right? Because she's going to a small town record store in Wisconsin. So if I can't find it, hopefully she can. I've networked with a few more people on here, and I was like, hey, listen, if you guys are going and you come across it, if I can't get it and you guys get it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to Zell you and pay $5 to get it shipped to me. And they were like, oh, no problem, we got you. So hopefully between the three of us, Allie and a couple of the other guys I got and gals hunting around, I think we should be okay. If there's anything we want that we're not able to get, I'm sure we can get it at some point.
perfect.
The only thing that aggravates me is that I hate the people that buy those albums and then they go right to eBay and they sell them for $300 because you can't get them. That
Yeah,
irritates me.
yeah.
Obviously,
That's
there's people that are going to do that, right? The record store isn't going to limit the amount. If somebody buys 10 Rage albums and keeps one and sells 9, nothing they can do. They've made their money. They're happy. But you know that person's going to sell them all for $2.99 or $3.99 and make that kind of money and go headhunting as opposed to letting somebody just enjoy the album. So that kind of thing irks me. But it's like that with everything, right? The new Jordans that drop, people buy 3-4 pairs. They keep one, they sell 3. It's just the nature of the beast. If you have the money to buy them, you're going to do it, right? If you win the lotto, if you get that ticket, right, and you're, the first 3 people, you're going to buy, 2 of every pair, and you're going to sell them, and you're going to keep the pair that fits you. So I get it. There's nothing
yeah,
you can do. It's kind of irritating if it's something that you want specifically, and you go in there and they're like, oh, we sold out, and it's like, well, how many did you get? Number one, and then how many
yeah.
did you sell, right? But they have to make money, and if somebody's willing to buy, so I get it. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen with the Rage, right? I'm hoping I could just get that. I'd be happy with that, and then if anything else comes through or there's anything cheap, then I can go from there. So.
That's awesome. So what time? What time are we going there? We're going to be there at 7 in the morning. Is
So
that
yeah, so I think that we could just probably get there around like 6:30. They're gonna open the store at 7. I'm gonna try to meet my buddy Chris tomorrow night after wrestling and see what we can do. If I can't, I'm gonna ask him if he could try to get as many as he can. I don't know if it's one per or if he, if it's not that busy, they might give out 2. So I'm not really that concerned with it, but I just thought it'd be cool if, if all of us went and we got to maybe even go live from there, kind of take
Yeah.
pictures or some video and stuff like that, just to show everybody what it's like in case they haven't experienced that. It seems like it'd be pretty cool. And I've gone to that shop in Wheaton before, and it's actually really good. They got a big metal selection there. So they got a lot of underground and cult stuff too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it sounds like if they have that kind of setup there, it's going to be vastly different than, I just saw something on on the TV this morning that was in Oak Park, which is very close to where I live, right? There's a store that I haven't heard of called Val's Hala,
Yeah.
which sounds like it's a pretty cool store. So
Yeah,
that would have been
and
where I
it's
would've gone
funny
otherwise.
because the lady that's in there, her name is Val. She's a tiny little lady with curly perm hair, and she's been there forever. I used to go there back in the day. That's how long. But she does have a lot of jazz, blues, and classical. That's kind of her thing. So if you find something metal or country or anything in between, reggae, that's a rarity there because they have a ton of jazz, a ton of blues. It's kind of, she sells to that Oak Park crowd, right? And that's kind of, they're sipping their lattes, looking at the the Frank Lloyd Wright, coffee table book, with the little jazz record in the background, right? They're not going to be blasting the Melvins or anything like that. So,
Yeah. No,
but
I didn't
but
get
it's
that.
a cool shop because when you walk in, it just smells like 1970, right? It has that musky kind of attic-y smell. The floors are wood. The paint is old. The tin tiles on the ceiling. It's vintage as vintage could get. And when you walk in, it's like a time warp.
That,
It's like going to your grandparents' house.
Yeah, I got to go there at some point.
Yeah, it's a very cool shop. They're and Val's usually always there. I think now she's probably got to be in her late 70s, early 80s, because she's been there every day. That's her shop. She's there every day. She opens and closes it up. She's got one like teenage employee there that like does all her sorting and stuff like that. But she is the staple there. Val is there all the time.
That's cool. I got to go check it out anyway, So, but that's also the kind of place where it's like, if you just have the patience, you might find something in the bin. It's like, I have no idea what this is. Let's put it in.
Yeah. There's
Like, whoa, this is an original Big Black, whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of because the thing is that when you go to record stores like that, a lot of them are estate sales, right? So they're just buying boxes and boxes and boxes of records, bringing them back and kind of going through them and sorting them out, right? So a lot of this stuff doesn't even get seen. So if there's something in there that's really obscure that they might not know what it is, they might just put it in that cheap bin where you and I might be like, wow, this is an original Iron Maiden, and they might not know that, right? They're looking for the John Coltrane's and the all the blues and bluegrass and jazz and stuff like that. That's what they're going after because that's what that crowd is looking for. They want the jazz and they want the blues and they want the oldies. So they're not looking for the heavy metal stuff, which is in there. Obviously, somebody who has an eye for it is going to know, but I mean, for the most part, a lot of the stuff in her shop is directly sold to the people that are looking for those particular artists and titles.
Yeah. No, so for a record store day, I mean, obviously the Witten store sounds like they've got their stuff down, and it sounds like they're doing something special too, not just those particular editions.
Right.
It does feel like it's an event for them, which is kind of cool. So, and a half-hour drive is not that bad.
No.
I can definitely do that.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I think, in the middle for all of us. That's why he was saying, because obviously I could have went to the stores in Aurora, which are closer to me, but further for him. So that just kind of seemed in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I have a hard time finding Godflesh albums, so I would like to find some more Godflesh.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
That's sort of
one
top
of
of my
these,
list in terms of what I want to find.
so one of these days in the next few weeks, when everything kind of slows down, I will take you out to Mendota to meet Ron. He's a little old guy, and he's got vinyl upon vinyl, but that's where I found that Godflesh. So you never know what you're going to get when you go there, but he had a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of them were imports. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give you a deal on the import stuff." but they were $16, $17. It wasn't like they were $55, $60. So I was like, I'm happy with $17 or $16. I think I got the Godflesh for 13.
Yeah, Ali, I'll let you know. But Godflesh is always something. The only one that I don't have, like, I bought too many CDs, right? And I honestly didn't buy that much Godflesh either.
Mm-hmm.
I have Slave State. That's the one Godflesh vinyl I have, and I'm obviously want to get a whole lot more. So Godflesh. If you find anything Godflesh, text me for sure, and so
we'll see what's around. And that's the thing, right? Like going downtown to Reckless and all that stuff. A lot of times they don't have them in the normal bin, but they'll have like the stuff that just came in, and you'll leaf through there and you might find some stuff that way. Like I said, I found the Nails vinyl for $13, so I bought the Nails one, and I think I bought the Knocked Loose for 14. So just stuff like that. It wasn't like I was planning on buying it, but I just happened to come across it and be like, I can't pass this up. And I was like, sometimes lunch costs $14. I'm like, so I can get a coffee and buy an album, and I'd be happy when I don't have to spend that for a lunch. So I broke even for the day.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I mean, for when I look for industrial stuff, that's also when it can be in the electronic section.
Right.
It could be in the experimental section sometimes too, depending on what they have, right? So sometimes it pays off too to look in the other bins, and sometimes like I like old punk rock too, and sometimes that's just in the regular pop rock bins. I went to that giant mall in Schaumburg too, to some sort of pop culture store, and I found Dark Throne in a pop rock sale bin.
That's how I got. So
I didn't buy it, but it's still like, you never know.
It's funny because I was meeting my buddies for lunch one day, and we went to the FYE, and I just happened to go in there, and I bought the 6 a.m. album for $5. So I was like, obviously they didn't know what it was, and they had a couple other like weird things in there too that I was going to take a chance on. But the album said it was $14.99, but it was in their sale bin. So when I went to check out, it rang up. She said your total $651. I'm like, okay.
Oli, hi Oli. By the way, you do put some death metal in pop punk. Yeah,
right. So I mean, and that's the thing, right? We joke about it, right? But to somebody who doesn't understand the metal genre, they might say, okay, Metallica's rock, but so is Deeds of Flesh, and so is Mortician, and so is. They're not going to have a death metal, black metal. They throw it all in rock, right? So you might see Iron Maiden in their metal section, but you might see Dark Throne in their rock section because they have no idea.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I was playing with my wife at a record store that was mostly, like R&B, soul, funk, that sort of thing. And they had a little pop rock section where I found some great new wave things, 80s new wave things that, they didn't know what it was. I got them for more or less free, not the import kind, but still, like $13 instead of what I know goes for 40, 45 elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So those are fun to go into. So I need to go to that Valhalla thing just to see.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. And like I said, Val's there. She's behind the counter. She's always there. She's super nice. She always says, if there's nothing that you see here, I can find it for you. She's really kind of outgoing. Obviously, her section is kind of small for the genre that we like, but nonetheless, it's still cool to leaf through stuff. And she's got a lot of old stuff. She has a lot of first pressings, right, from the 40s and 50s that are the originals when you would have bought them in 1941 or 1942, right? So she's got a lot of that stuff that's there, right? They're the first pressing, first runs of old, jazz and blues albums, right? And so she does have a lot of cool stuff. It's like a museum and a record store in one. So
the one store I went to in Oak Park, I think it's technically Oak Park.
Yeah, it is.
But it's called the Old School. I think it's called Old School Records, and it's also just one of those hole in the wall things. But it's got like a couple of layers of stacks, and it's the kind of place where you go to the floor bins and look through those because these are the ones that I don't bother sorting. I have no idea what this is. I don't know if they're gonna sell or not. And that's where you make the finds too. But
Yeah,
it takes time.
and that used to be a lot with CDs, right? Because you'd have the dollar bin or the $2 bin or the $5 bin, and you'd read through the CDs. With
The
vinyl, I
cutouts.
think they kind of know what they have,
Yeah.
right? I think at some point, if they stumble upon something, very rarely does something fall through the cracks. Where with CDs, I think there were so many of them that they just couldn't sort them all, and they were like, "This has been on our rack for $9.99. We've dropped it down to $5.99. We dropped it down to $3.99. We're just going to put it in the dollar bin." And at that point, you find some really, really good finds in there. But I think with vinyl, I think because of the way that they order and they know exactly what they have, and every time you buy a record, even like at Bucket of Blood, when I bought my first album from there, the guy wrote down the title and wrote down, like, so he knew what was gone. So he was going to replace that because I bought it. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't on sale. It was just cheaper. So I thought I was getting a good deal, but he probably ordered that album for $11, sold it for 20, made $8, and he's going to buy another one. I just happened to think that 20 was a good deal. When I would go on Discogs or eBay and it was $39.99 or $49.99, I'm like, well, $20 is a deal to me.
Yeah.
So those guys know what they have, though. I think like they know their collection, they know what they're doing. So
Sometimes and sometimes not. It depends on their specialty, right? If you're an R&B funk soul thing and you get an estate sale, and then you know that, well, most of what I see here is what I like, and then 20% of it I'm not sure, but
Sure.
it's worth it to pick up that garbage, and I'll just
yeah,
put that in a dollar bin. I have no interest in going through what that is.
yeah, absolutely.
Because they focus on the stuff they know, and what they
Yeah.
don't know is what they put aside. There was that at the market at the record store fair thing that we went to a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was cool. I want to go again too in May.
Yeah. I'll go if I'm not hungover.
Yeah.
I think it's the day after a show, whichever one it is. May a Spirit Pact. But yeah, there was that table that they just put up boxes of records.
Yeah, it was $2, right? Because you bought a bunch, right?
It was $2 when I got there, but it seems like they start in the morning with a higher price when they have like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a higher check, and the people that know what they're doing, they can pick out the ones that are like worth 100 or whatever from
Right.
for $10, and then after. So it's $10 at 9 in the morning, and then it goes down to $5 at 11, and I was there at 12 when it was down to $2, right?
Yeah.
So the more it gets picked over, the lower the prices go over the day. But
Yeah, that's exactly it.
but they don't go through Discogs or anything to
Right.
validate.
No. Yeah.
What it is they have is like we sell them by the pound, basically.
Yeah.
I've been to places that do that too.
Well, that's how it was when I bought
3 pounds of records is
Yeah.
$20. Or whatever.
And that's how it was when we said goodbye to each other. I was at that guy's stand, and it said, "Take $5 off any album," and they had like 3 rows. So I was leafing through it. We said goodbye. You walked out. I turned around, and the guy crossed out 5 and wrote 10.
Yeah.
So it was now $10 off instead of $5 off. So I got the Teenage Time Machine for $10. I was like, all right, deal.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a deal when you think that you got a deal, and if the who sells it thinks that they got a deal out of it too, great.
Yeah.
It's that's always how it works, right?
For sure.
It's always you never sell at a deficit unless you're really
Yeah, and obviously with vinyl, it comes and goes, right? Because there was a time when vinyl was pretty much dead, and you could buy, when you go to those things and you see the tags on them from the original store, right? Woolworths, $1.99, and now it's $59. Or you see, FYE $4.99, and now it's $75. Well, in 1995, that was $5 or $3 or $2 when nobody was buying vinyl, and CDs were $40, $39.99.
Yeah.
And now vinyl is back to $40 and CDs are $1 again. You can go to pretty much any FYE bin and find CDs for $2.99, $1.99, and 99 cents.
Yeah.
And
No,
vinyl is $41 and more.
Yeah, that's what I heard from folks in my Oli. Vinyl is super pricey. most of the time. And you know, I think
Sherry, what's up?
what turns me off a little bit now when I go to record stores is, you know, if it's sort of shrink wrapped, and sometimes they just shrink wrap even used records just to keep them in shape. But I get sort of a little bit turned off by the shrink wrap thing on it, and it feels like it's a reissue. I'm looking for
The original,
you know,
yeah.
the original or the slightly tattered ones or whatever. Like there's something to be said for that, and but it depends on the stand that you go to or the record store that you
Yeah,
go to.
and you know the thing is if you're buying the music for the enjoyment of it, I don't mind buying the reissue, right? Because I just want to listen to the album.
Yeah.
If I'm buying it to turn a profit, I want the original, right? If I could buy it for 50 and sell it for 75 and make $25, well, then I'm going to try to do that. But I would say 99% of the albums that I've bought so far, I've unwrapped them and I've listened to them, right?
Yeah.
I'm not keeping them. I'm not trying to resell them. I'm not trying to trade them. I'm not trying to, you know, maybe down the road that'll happen. But for right now, I just enjoy listening to them. So I buy them for me. I don't buy them for what the resale could be.
That's perfectly fine. But I guess I'm just stuck in, you know, the olden days where it was
Yeah,
like, you
that's-
know, as a teenager with no money, it was like
Yeah.
it was a lot of, you know, discount bin stuff, and you got this thing that, you know, you
Well, that
can see a circle outline on the
that's
even on the
seems to
cover.
be the thing, though, right? With CDs, they used to just press so many of them because it was relatively inexpensive, right? So it was very hard if they ever put like a limited edition copy on them, right? I remember when Demu did that. That was the first CD I bought for really pricey. It was a box set. It was $59.99. It was Dark Eutropian, whatever that album was, and it came with a patch. It was in a cardboard box where it had a CD, a patch, a poster that was folded up, and a live version of the CD. And they only had 10,000 of them worldwide. And I had copy like 259. So that meant something, but you could buy the regular one for $15. So I ended up buying the one for $49.99. I still have it, but it's just one of those type of deals where I think with vinyls, they limit a lot more. They'll marble press some where others are black, or they'll make a white copy where others are, you know, red. So I think there is a lot more limited stuff with vinyl than there ever was with CDs. CDs just
Yeah.
seem to be pressed, and if you were happen to get the first one, it mattered. And if you didn't, you got, you know, 4 or 5 years later, it was the same thing. It was still pressed off the masters.
Yeah. Only it is really cool when you start to see numbers on things, or you know, so it's like, this is a numbered copy. Then you
Yeah.
know that there's something special about it. Maybe you've only heard of the band, but you can bet on it being a pretty good investment most of the time when it's that stuff. And it's so much fun. Like I had a copy of which I got cheated out of, Slayer South of Heaven. That was like a test pressing that I got because nobody wanted a test pressing, but I was like, that's the coolest thing, your test press of South of Heaven. And then, you know, it would have been worth something now, because just a non-test press I saw for I think $120 at the record fair the other week, something like that. I couldn't find any sort of original Slayer things for under $100, I don't think.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, you know, when you're looking at it, right, when you're a youngster and money's tight and you're working a part-time job and you only have a limited budget and you see all this stuff, you know, now you wish you would have bought it because of what its value is now. You know, looking back 25, 30 years ago, all the albums that I could have bought that I passed on because I didn't have the money, where if I would have just bought them, those would have been investment pieces, right? Because now I could say I bought that album for $20, but it's going for 300 on eBay, right? So I could get my money back tenfold. But when you're a kid, you don't think like that, right? And again, I always bought music to listen to it. I never kept anything in the shrink wrap, or I never bought two of them, right? I mean, there were friends of mine that would buy two albums. They'd open one and they'd save one. Well, the ones that are saved now could be worth hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
But it wasn't worth it to me to spend $30 to buy one to listen to and one to save. I just bought the one for 15 and enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I have a bunch of records that were kind of like that. You know, I the first Merciless album, Swedish, you know, early death or black metal stuff. It was more, I think it was self-issued. I'm not sure, or if they or a tiny label. or whatever, right? And I bought it. I think when they were opening for Carcass or something like that. I No, that wasn't Carcass. Anyway, but I didn't really like it. If I would have said, yeah, that would be like a $500 album right now, or just something, Skinny Puppy Too Dark Park, which is, everybody liked Skinny Puppy. I didn't like Skinny Puppy, so I sold it, and now that original pressing of Too Dark Park is also well over 100, I think. So there's some of that. Like you said, when you're a kid and you don't have much money, and there's something you buy and you don't quite like it, then it's like go back to the record store, and you're making a bit of a loss, but at least you can get maybe 3 of the discount bin records in exchange, because that's how it worked, right? You got a little bit more value if you did exchange rather than trying to get money, right? So it was definitely buy sell type of culture, right? So I've owned a whole lot more records than I've ever had in total.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And it's like,
kept 3 out of 10 type of thing.
Right. And that's exactly it. And then, things change, right? You get older and you're like, I don't need this stuff anymore. And then you're like, I wish I would have gotten rid of it. I wish I would have just kept it. And then when you move, obviously you moved across country, right? You moved overseas. So shipping that stuff, right? A lot of that probably was in your mind. Do I really need it? Like, is it worth it for me to do it? So a lot of that stuff, life happens, right? And people sometimes just make the wrong decisions, or they make the decision that was right for the moment, but then they regret it years down the road. I was the same way when I left. When I moved, I said, well, I'm only going to take the CDs that matter to me now, right? I had just a ton of stuff that I never listened to, and I didn't really want it, so I ended up selling it for pennies, right? The guy offered me like 50 cents for like every album. I think I sold 100 albums, and I walked out with like $6. So it was like, do I regret doing that now? Yes. But at the time, I didn't need the CDs. I didn't need them. I needed the money, and I thought that I would get a lot more for what I did, and I wasn't about to barter with anybody. So I kept the ones that mattered to me and the limited editions and the pressings that I had. But I would say, out of the, let's say, 1,000 CDs I have, I think I took 100.
Yeah.
So all the other ones I sold, and now I regret doing it because they were more valuable to me. I could remember going to the store and buying that album, or opening and listening to the first time. So obviously I lost those memories. And now I look back and I'm like, I just wish I would have kept them in a tote bin and just kept them with me. I don't have to display them, but at least I can go and get them. Now I can't. They're over. I can't go back and get them.
Yeah. I gotta, stop me if I've told you this story, but when I first moved to Canada in '99, it was a two suitcase allowance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I put clothes in one suitcase, and in the other I packed up my computer, because I had that was what I was making my living on, and I needed all that shit. There was no cloud storage or USB keys that you could store an entire hard drive on or whatever.
Right.
So I packed that, and whatever space was left was records, like the 20 records that I felt like I couldn't live without, even if I didn't have a record player or whatever, right? It was like, no, there are some records that need to come along with me.
Mm-hmm.
But then later, so this is the part that I might have told you, so stop me if I have, if I get repetitive. But one of the friends that I had in Canada, I know them from web chats or whatever, right? But they were in town. Turns out that he worked for a shipping company called Kuehne Nagel, which is like Maersk type of thing, like they do global container shipment type things, and he worked as an administrator there, server administrator. So he was influential. So he said, if you can get your records and CDs to a harbor and crate it up, you can, for a bottle of brandy, I can get someone to just shove it in the back of a container for us and bring it over here. So I'm like, whoa, cool. Turns out that, well, luckily my mom worked for a construction supplies company, so they ship things across the country to the harbors and all that stuff all the time. So yeah, they crated up my records and CDs, and it got on a boat, and a few months later, I had these
That's a cool
crates
story,
with
right?
my records and CDs.
Yeah, but see, that's
pretty
something
cool.
that you could
So-
appreciate now, though, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
So
a great
I'm not
story
selling
to tell,
anything now.
right?
Yeah, I'm not selling anything now, and that was
Yeah.
and when I separated from my ex, it was like, okay, all right, let me know when she needed to know when she was supposed to be out of the house for me to go get my stuff, and the main thing to get was my records, right?
Mhm.
Also because of that whole adventure that they've been on. Unfortunately, some got lost mysteriously.
Yeah.
But such is life, I guess. But yeah, no. So I have an additional appreciation for even the $2, not even Gene Pitney records that I have. Like I'm not getting rid of any of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep them all. They've been
And now you don't have to, but I mean, see, that's a cool story, right? Because like all your records now mean something to you, right? All those CDs, all those albums, you pretty much have a great backstory to tell that you were able to get them. Where like my story is just kind of stupid because I moved just a little bit down the way, right? But at the same time, it's like I only brought what I thought I was going to use, right? And I was like, I just wanted to downsize and like not have it. And then when I got here, I'm like, I don't miss them per se, but I miss them, right? If that makes sense, So that's
that was another reason why.
Kristen. What's up? Thank you.
Even before I left Sweden, it was still like I stopped selling albums because it was too often that it happened that 3 weeks after I'd sold it was when I felt like listening to it.
Yeah, and
that's
how it always goes, right? Oh, thanks, Kristen. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Yeah, but that's how it always goes, right? With stuff that you have and you give it away or you sell it, and it doesn't matter to you because you haven't watched it or listened to it in so many years. And then it's like the minute you get rid of it, you're like, oh, I wish I would have had that. Now I wanted to watch that, or I wanted to listen to it, right? Or it'll be brought up in conversation, like, oh, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me and my wife, we've decided to do Sundays no TV date night type thing. So one of the Sundays was we sat and just went through some of my records, and
Yeah.
then she starts to talk about things or whatever. Oh, you might like this one, which is an album that nobody but me has listened to. Nobody's ever said that they like it, but let's try it. And she just loved the shit out of that and started texting her old band buddies and like, you should look up this band. It's really cool. So, band called Milk. So whoever's heard of Milk,
but that's what's funny though, right? Because sometimes you find something that you haven't seen in a long time, right? I did that the other day with the DVD I was looking for. I just happened to look for something particular, and I was just going through the DVDs, and I'm like, man, I forgot I had that, or that's really cool. I don't remember I bought that, right? Because out of everything that I took, all my movies came with me, right? I was like CDs I downsized. Everything else I kind of like left behind. Books the same way, right? I brought the books that mattered to me, but I brought all my movies, and I'm glad I did that because I do regret selling my CDs, right? A lot of the stuff that I pretty much gave away because the guy was like, I'll give you a quarter for this, 50 cents for this, $1 for this, 50 cents for this. And I'm like, I remember buying that album for $15 or $20. And obviously I know the appreciation goes down, but I was like, that album might have been listened to twice. So I know what it was worth to me, but it's not worth to them, right? Because what I paid for it back in 99 or 2000 isn't worth anything, in 2025. So I understand that, right? Or I think I sold them all in 2020 before the pandemic, before we moved. But I mean, like at that stage of the game, a lot of that stuff that I had bought when I was in high school just didn't retain the value. They were like, this CD, I'm selling it for $3.99. I'm going to buy it for you for 75 cents so I can at least make a couple bucks on it because the next guy's going to ask me, can I give it to him for $3?
Right. Yeah.
So he's like, I got to make a living too. And I'm like, I get it. But like, it killed me when I had these stacks of CDs and the guy's like, I'll give you, $75 for all of them. I'm like, those 2 albums alone were $75. but they
Yeah,
just
I
didn't
know.
maintain, the stuff. And like, I understood where the guy was coming from, but at the same time, I didn't want to take 3 boxes full of CDs back home with me. So I said,
Yeah.
fine, give me $75 for that box, $25 for that box, and $30 for that box. And I think I sold almost 500 CDs for $100.
Oh man,
You know,
that hurts.
and again, it was like I knew what I was doing. And then once I moved into the house and I was unpacking everything and I saw the CDs that I kept, I'm like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have got rid of that one. Or, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have got rid of that one. Or that one was autographed and I forgot it was signed, right? So there was a lot of that, right? That I was like, but I know now
Hi,
that
Seven.
what I missed for in the CDs, I'm going to make up for in the vinyl. And so that kind of gives me a little bit of solitude that out of all the vinyl that I have, I said I'm going to buy the ones that I listen to the most that I cannot ever get tired of. And that's kind of what I did. So my collection now, I think altogether, I probably have about 50. And I think that maybe one or two might have been buys where it was like they were just cheap and I bought them. But for the most part, every one I have now I can listen to front to back, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I still have a few, and I that really don't. And some that I just got for the novelty fun of it,
Yeah.
like some lounge music things or whatever,
Right.
just because maybe I'll have a luau party at some point. Yeah,
That's it, right? You never know,
I
right?
should have a Don Ho lying around, shouldn't
Yeah.
I? So there is some of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's all mood related too, and I mean,
And that's all it is, right? And it's like, and I'm
not
going to
even
look
10%
back
of what I have
probably.
is metal.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm probably gonna laugh. I'm looking at buying the Rage album now, right? I like Rage Against the Machine, but probably next year at Record Store Day, I'll remember buying that one, and I might not listen to it that much. But for now, it's the one that I want to buy. So I think I'm just kind of in the mode of it's my first one, and I want to buy something, and I'm going to be upset if I don't get anything. So obviously, I'm not going to overbuy, but at the same point, like. I like Rage, but I don't like Rage that much. But it's the best of everything that I saw that I want to get. So that's kind of where I'm.
Yeah, and I mean, you are buying a memory too, right?
That's
it's
it.
like you're getting passionate about buying records, and it's fun going to record stores and all that stuff. Then it's like that was my first record store
Right,
day. Like it doesn't matter so much.
So that's all
it's
I'm
okay
doing.
album, but it's like. Man, went to get the tickets the night before,
Right.
and
That's it. It's the experience.
6:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Like so that's what that record is about more than
That's it.
hey, killer tunes. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So obviously we talked the entire hour about records, right? And Record Store Day. So we will keep you guys posted. When we go Saturday, we'll take a bunch of pictures. We'll post everything up. We'll try to go live from there together. We'll all get on and say hi. We'll try to have it be a friendly experience for everybody to come with us and shop if you haven't gotten to it yourself. With that being said, I do want to tell everybody to go download the Arsenic song. I tagged it on the post. That's Kelly's song. So if you guys aren't familiar with this guy over here, he wrote an awesome song. It's on all the platform, guys. So please go and download it. Enjoy it. It's a really good tune. I'm sure there's a lot more to come, but he put in a lot of hard work and his efforts need to be brought to the forefront. So download the Arsenic song.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm working on finish up an old God of Thunder cover here. So
Nice.
that'll probably be the next thing coming out. It's sort of an in-between thing but thank you so much for saying that. Much appreciated. And I don't know if anybody from my folks are here right now, but definitely follow Mark. Lots more interesting stuff, people's different walks of life and very interesting conversations.
Yeah.
There, so.
I enjoyed this though too, right? This is awesome, right? Because you just get to hang with a friend and talk music, and talk shop.
Yeah.
I don't get a chance to do that much, so I'm super happy doing this.
Well, it's especially now when you're buying records, and with
Right,
my
that's
situation, it looks like you might be getting more stuff than I do. So we can start each time with what's in the bag. What did you get this week?
That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess I will see you Saturday then. I'll obviously let you know what's going on for tomorrow. We'll keep in touch. And then you guys come join us Saturday morning, guys. Follow us. We'll be live. Kelly might go live on his own. I'll go live on my own, but we'll be together in the same screen. So we'll hop in each other's lives and we'll share the experience with you guys. We'll take you record shopping on Record Store Day, April 12th, 7 in the morning.
Yeah. All right. Cheers.
All right. Later, guys. Take care. Kelly is awesome as always. Like I said, guys, subscribe to Kelly's channel and download his song. It's awesome, and you put a lot of hard work and effort into it. So support where we can.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you guys Saturday morning.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.